Good morning, everybody. I took a while for my player to play. So I noticed on the search engine because I was showing you a couple of days ago where it showed this saucer, flying saucer, whatever you want to call them, with this ray going down on the mountain. I was showing you that the ray on the mountain, it could represent the mountains itself, but it's actually representing, from my perspective, the mountaintop, right, which is the top of our head. And then it showed that for 2 days, and then 2 days it showed the DNA strand. And remember, I tell you every day it usually changes every day, but those 2 days it stayed that way, right? Well, now this morning it's 7:14 a.m. And that's another thing. They usually don't change it until about 9 or something like that, but it's already changed. And it's, what, how Pink Floyd had that pyramid and he has the rainbow going in through the pyramid, but the rainbow is flipped upside down. So the purple is on the bottom, then it goes like this, our violet, whatever you want to call it, but it looks purple, purple rain. Then it goes indigo, then it goes blue, and then there's a green sliver, yellow, orange, and red. So the red is on top. So it's like they've taken it's like the rainbow has flipped upside down and it's going through this pyramid. It's like, remember, the pyramid is the fourth letter in Greek and it's representing a door. So it represents D for door or delta, that type of thing. That symbolism. So the ancient Greek symbol is actually a triangle. It's like a pyramid. Well, it's showing it going upside down through the pyramid, and I think it's which it is a doorway. And I'm not sure if it's representing a doorway that's our doorway is changing, or flipping upside down in like a pole shift. It's like we flip. But I don't know if we actually flip or if the flip is representing we're not thinking down here, we're up here. Because when we're in life, everything is about our privates, So you look at the world today, look at the Pride Parade. Actually, they just had Australia was broadcasting. They're always broadcasting about Biden and the corruptness of the U.S., and especially the perversion of the pride, gay pride. So they showed this, and they're probably showing it everywhere on the news. Some old man walking around the parade in his underwear, and he's twerking in front of these little kids and these women. And that's mostly what you see is women with their children. There was hardly any fathers there or man figures. And all you see is these lining kids, and they're like their mothers. And they mention that too. And they're like, it's the saddest thing when their mothers are exposing their kids to this, but you hardly see any of the fathers doing it. Not saying some of the fathers don't do it, but when you look at these crowds, you don't see too many fathers. You see a lot of mothers taking their kids. And they were showing the kids, and the kids were like, they were literally disgusted. Like, what is this old man doing? But yeah, his junk was just shaking back and forth and everything. Then they had a bunch of guys, totally nude, riding bikes, stopping and waving while their junk is hanging out in front of the kids. Then they had a bunch of a crowd of them, of gay people or whatever they are, with their tops and with their titties hanging out and everything, and they put these little things on top of their titties. And they're singing this chant in this crowd. So this whole gay crowd's coming through saying, we're gay and we're coming after your children. We're gay and we're coming after your children. It was repeated over and over, and they're chanting it as they're going through the whole crowd of all these people, and all these people are cheering them on. It's the most sickest and demonic thing ever. And and then they show a guy, he's out there, he's reading the Bible and he's praying, and he's doing this, but he's not, and they're all of a sudden attacking him, and they're throwing things in his face, and they're ripping up the Bible, and they're just so many gross and disgusting things. And remember, I was saying the other day, I don't know, there's only 4 people that watched that video. It's about 31 minutes long, about pride. That is not pride. Self-will and pride. That's just disgusting, right? And I can talk about this because I'm bi. Of course, Adam is bi. I'm half male and half female. I recognize the both sides of myself. I've been down that avenue. I've only went to probably 1 or 2 of the parades, but I was always dressed, and I was always turned off at them when they went through there and just started, walking around naked and doing all those kind of stupid stuff. I was always against that part. I thought that was just too much. And besides, it wasn't pride. It wasn't being respectful. Pride is about respecting yourself, not throwing yourself out there naked and wearing dog masks and humping each other out there in the street. I don't understand what type of pride. So you talk about people that have lost their mind in dementia. If the World Health Organization wants to go after somebody, go after that group, those people. But they don't. They encourage it. Just like Biden, who wants to, get his son out of, if that is Biden, which I think it's a family member of Biden's. I think I see that guy wearing a mask. I see his mask when he goes like this. It itches the back of his neck, and all of a sudden it gets, see, because I can itch the back of my neck, and I don't have this big rolled up like skin area that doesn't go back down. It just sticks. It's like when you wear a rubber mask, and you go like this and you itch yourself, the mask moves up, but it's still moved up and it hasn't went back down. Either that, you just got a really messed up, But anyway, enough about that freak. I want to kind of tell you about, I mentioned it a couple of days ago too, that I had some visions and dreams. I don't know. I don't want to say visions. My visions are in color. These are dreams. They, a few of them were just, really nice, but they had to do, which, I focus on them when I wake up. It's like, what is going on? Why was that? But it's like, it took me back to my childhood, of where I lived out in the country on Meridian Road. But my family was different. It wasn't the same family that I had. The characters, the people were different. And, but subconsciously or in my dream state, I knew them. And then some of them were friends and neighbors and stuff. And then, last night, oh my goodness, I woke up. I was probably only asleep for like a couple of hours, and I was in this freaky dream to where all of a sudden I woke up and I walked into this room, and I go to the front door, which you can see the front door is right there. And the front door was cracked open. Excuse me. Boy, high pollen today. They said that yesterday, too. I was just like, how could they predict the next day is going to be a high pollen day unless they're spraying it in the air, which I wouldn't doubt that that's what they're doing. But the door was open like a crack like that. And I woke up coming out of the bedroom, and I was like, what? I always lock my top lock. what is going on? I mean, it's a habit. When I walk in the house, no matter what I'm doing, I always lock the top lock, the bolt lock. And I do that because there's people that walk along the street here and they'll walk through and they'll look through your window. They're all drugged out people and they'll check your doors to see if your doors are open. Had that happen a couple of times. And I'm like, thank goodness I always lock my door. But when they're sitting there looking through the window, staring at you, hey, go away. What are you doing, you freaks? But anyway, getting back to my dream. I go to shut the door and somebody pushes the door open. And I'm like, hey, I have no idea who this guy was. He was about my height. He was heavier set and he had blonde hair. He's like, he goes, we're moving in. I go, moving in? Who are you? What are you doing here? And then another guy comes in and he had crashed his car. If the front of my apartment here is like a brick, it's all brick, right? And somehow he got up here on the sidewalk and he crashed his little car right in the front of my, the side of my thing. And I'm like, and I still had the door open when this guy's walking in. And I'm like, who are you? What are you doing here? Get out, get out. So I'm in that state of excitement. Like, you don't belong here. Get out. He comes in and just makes himself at home. And so I'm trying to get him out and pulling him out, right? And, he's bigger than I am. And he's just like tossing me everywhere. I'm like, what is going on? And then the guy that wrecked the car, it was my cousin. I haven't seen him, oh my goodness, since we were kids. But his name's Corey. And last I knew he's been living in Las Vegas and he's married, whatever. But it was him, and he comes barging through the door, and he starts taking my stuff. And I'm like, what are you doing? And so I'm trying to prevent him from taking my stuff, and trying to get him out, and I'm calling the police. I called 911, and some guy answers. He goes, you'll have to call the local police department. I go, call the local police department. I'm calling 911. And yeah, that number no longer exists. So I'm like thinking, oh my gosh, I don't have the police department number plugged in. Neighbors were going by and it was dark outside. They were having a party next door. And I'm screaming out, call the police, call the police. I mean, I'm literally screaming out to the top of my lungs, help, help, someone get these people, call the police. And no one's responding. Some lady walks by and she looks in and she goes, oh, I don't see any type of threat here. I'm like, they're invading my place. What do you mean no threat? She goes, oh, they look nice. I go, nice? You don't even, what is going on? So in this dream, I'm thinking, what is going on? Well, then the guy, one of the guys starts to hold me down. And I am kicking and screaming, hollering for the police, for someone to call the police, and nothing's happening. So I'm literally kicking him off as hard as I could and everything. So I don't know how long this went on for, because there was a couple of other events that were going through, and I ended up waking up in bed. And you know how I woke up? I was kicking. My legs were going so far up into the air because I was kicking, and that's what woke me up. And so right when I was getting ready to kick, I opened up my eyes and I was actually seeing my legs going up in the air kicking, like I was kicking somebody away. And I woke up and I got up. I'm just like, what in the world is going on? It was like 12:44 or 12:45, something like that. And I was, and I went and got a cigarette. And I'm smoking outside thinking, what was that all about? Because I've had these dreams for just a little bit over a week, maybe 1 or 2 days, or maybe about 8, 9 days or something. But there's always been a dream every day. But the dreams every day were um, nice, exciting dreams, interesting dreams. They weren't so violent and trying to take me over and hold me down and um, that kind of thing. But last night, well, then I stayed up and I listened to some meditation, chakra music, and in Tibet, the noises, the ringing sounds, Um, and I'm sitting here thinking, oh, I just need to just let this go, after I was analyzing, trying to figure it out, get my mind off of it, right? Because I was even tired. I was literally tired. I wanted to go back to bed, but I didn't want to go back to bed and go right back into that dream. So then I do, I think it was about 3 o'clock. I laid back down. And I slept until about a half hour ago, about 7 o'clock. So about 4 hours. And the sun is just blaring through everywhere, right? Until I woke up, I was like, oh, I got to make a video about this. I want to know if anybody else has been having these wild dreams for the last 7 to 8 to 9 days. And usually, it's like I'll have a dream or I have a vision, but it's usually like, once or twice or once a week, maybe, or something like that. Or, that's just how it's been. But these last 8 or 9 days, it's just been so intense. And then noticing what they're showing on the search engine about these rays, and then listening to Gina Marie Calvin talking about how it's her body and it's like her. Yesterday, she said she was on the treadmill because she gets up every morning, gets on the treadmill, and she said she was on it for like 10 minutes, and she said she was literally feeling like her soul or her spirit lifting up out of her body. But she said it only lifted up like so far because it didn't leave her feet, but she felt it leave the bottom of her feet and kind of go up. She goes, it was the most amazing feeling ever. She goes, and then I got off the treadmill, and she goes, everything just kind of went back to normal. And then I was telling you about the energies that she was feeling, and other people were feeling it, and what they were going through and experiencing too. And they were talking about their Kundalini or their Merkaba activating, and that type of thing, right? So we're in some very interesting times. And then what we see on the world stage, right? And then on BitChute yesterday, they were talking about one of the governors. She's one of the worst governors, the corrupt governor. I can't remember her name, but I guess she got hung by the military. They're talking about Newsom got hung too. They're just like they're put where they belong, where the worms can feed on them. And I got to looking at this perspective of the world stage. So they're starting with the governors that did this to that enforced that, and the lockdowns and stuff. It's like they're hanging him. And then last night when I went on BitChute, this other guy named Lionel, he's kind of like he talks about the politics and the corruptness. And he gets on there and he's like, they should be showing all these executions online so the whole world could see. So these executions are actually happening right now. And I got to thinking, oh my goodness, they must be starting with the governors. It's like you start with the lowest, like the bottom of the totem pole, and they work their way up. Because I'm just like, what about Fauci? He just got promoted at Georgetown University for being, infectious disease, and he's going to be speaking for them and stuff. I'm like, oh my gosh, why haven't they got that guy? He is like the biggest criminal, right? Or Biden or them, right? And that's when it was it's like getting this sense that they're starting from the lowest ones, like the governors, and they're working their way up. I'm like thinking, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, this is really happening. And remember when I told you about David and Goliath, right? Goliath, those that are going with the lie. And what happened to him? David cut their heads off. Well, I know that God's army's here, and we see a lot of army movement, military movement throughout the whole entire United States, Washington, Oregon, New York, Texas, California. They're just like all over the place, spread out everywhere. And then they're talking about Canada's doing the same thing, and Mexico's doing the same thing. So, even online, they're like, something's coming. Something's going to be happening here. Something's coming. And then another video shows, remember in iPet Goat 2, the very last scene where it shows the sun shooting off these things, and it's taking down the three pyramids, right? It's like, they look like they're asteroids coming in, and they're boom, boom, but they're coming off the sun. Well, he was some guy on BitChute was showing, saying things are about ready to get changed here. Hang on, the sun is about ready to go automatic on this land and on these people. And it shows the sun, and it shows it throwing out these they look like bombs or something, these light bombs that are going down and they're destroying pieces of the land and stuff. And I was like, oh my God, that's like the last part of iPet Goat 2. So when I think it's like Jesus that's coming up, but I think that's actually representing Daniel, the second son. So at the last scene, when he's floating out, and then this comes off, the barbed wire comes off his head, right? And it shows him kind of looking like this, and then looking on and sailing on the ship. And behind him, it shows the churches and everything crumbling, right? And then it shows the sun shooting out all these things, taking down the pyramids, taking down other parts, just parts of the land. And this actually, they didn't show it in like a cartoon form. It was like actually showing the sun shooting off these things. I'm just like, oh my gosh. So I don't know if it was CGI or not, but they were like, get ready, it's about ready to blow. And I thought to myself, wow. And, it's quite interesting because of how I was having that dream of me, constantly. It was so wild because that even took me back to my childhood. Because remember, I told you guys a while back about ever since I was a young child, I would have these dreams. And my mom would always go, oh, they're just dreams. They don't mean anything. Dreams don't mean anything, or because she doesn't believe in that stuff. She'll say to other people that she believes in it, but her own kids, like, nah, you're just dreaming. That's nothing. But I already know throughout my life experience that they mean something. They're telling you something. And it was just really interesting that I would wake up, and then it's like I was kind of being directed to look at these things. And, as I really didn't search out for it. I just turned on BitChute, and I'm just like, what's going on here? And then all of a sudden, these things were just, oh, what's this about? Oh. So I think what they're doing is they're starting with the governors, and they're being tried by God's army. When I was, I'm at 24 minutes, but back in 97, 96, it was in 1996 when I told you that I went to Sedona, Arizona with my first ex, and he was going to the psychic, and he was taking his best friend, and I went along for the ride, And we get there and we weren't getting along very well anyway. So, and then he made me stay outside and they were going through their sessions, right? With this, I think she's like a mystic, but she's a card reader, that type of thing. Older woman, very sweet. And I went in and I was drinking water and they were done with their sessions. And she came out and she goes, "You must be Casey." And I go, "Yeah." And she goes, "Come on in here. I got a message for you." "Oh, no." She goes, "Come on here. I got to talk to you." And that's when my ex goes, "Why? What do you need to talk to him? I'm not paying for his time." And she goes, "Oh, his is free." And he goes, "Why is his free?" And she goes, "I just need to talk to him. And don't worry about it, Al." And so Al goes, "Well, you better hurry up. We're going to be waiting in the car." And, because I knew that there was something going on, of how he kind of like turned on me. It was just really weird. And so I go in and she goes, a little birdie stopped by and told me to tell you, relay a message that your true love will meet you farther down in life, in your life, farther in life. And then I asked her, I said, "Well, who's my true love?" And she goes, "Well, let's put it this way. His first name starts with a G, and he controls a very large army." And I'm like, "Oh, army?" And I just got out of the Navy, right? And I'm like, "Oh, do I need to go back to a military base?" That time I wasn't putting God and God's army together at that time. She goes, "Well, you have to go through some experience points. You have to experience life. You have to take on some challenges." And she's doing some cards and everything. She goes, "But he will find you." And then here we are, and what I've experienced in my visions, my dreams, and my hands getting marked up like I was being branded by something, and my feet. It's like remember I told you I woke up and my feet were all like burnt. And then I got to thinking about that. Remember in iPad 2, the last scene where it shows the guy going out on the towards the sun on the water, and his feet are on fire? I was like thinking, oh my goodness, I wonder if that's what caused it. I know some people may not get that, but it took me a while to understand why did I wake up with my feet were burnt. So my feet look really much better now. It literally just all like peeled off. And that was kind of a moment there. It was like, ugh. But it really did. It peeled off and it didn't hurt or anything. It was just like dead skin. It was like a snake. I was just peeling it off. No big deal. So my feet look really nice. Nice tan. But it was all coming into my mind. It was just like it was showing me why my feet were burnt. So I think that person that they were showing was me. As weird as it sounds, but I got to looking at everything, and then the JG that was on my hand, that I showed you on a video that's still up, where it was like branded on my hand, and then a couple of days ago I showed you up in the sky right up above my head here in my apartment, a J and a G, and it showed two fish going together, a big fish and a little fish. And I got to thinking, I wonder if things are communicating with me, and I wonder what my role is at this end time. And could that be the reason why I was having all these dreams and visions? But it was like in the area that I grew up in, but I didn't, when I woke up, I'm like, I don't recognize these people. But it was like I was with this family that was the opposite, because in my family growing up, I was kind of like, we were never close. We never had that close of a bond. And so that's what made me look at this. I'm just like thinking, well, was that like another timeline? I don't know, pretty bizarre stuff. And then waking up today and seeing because remember the DNA strand I showed you was for 2 days, and then that UFO or whatever was showing that light on the mountain. And then people the last couple of days were saying, oh, the energies, what's going on, blah, blah. So I think in what they were doing, it's like this big mothership is putting down this energy, and it's kind of like lifting us, moving our DNA up into a higher level. But anyway, I better stop talking here because I'm at 30 minutes. But I just wanted to, put out there, are you guys having some pretty wild visions and dreams or dreams? Please let me know.